All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And you just saw an amazing intro with the one and only Carlos Gonzalez of Mambo the Dance Company, representing the Rhode Island area. And before we get started, people, this episode today is sponsored by Buckshot the Radio, where you can also listen to this interview in high quality. As well, you can see our interviews and listen to them on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and other streaming platforms. And tonight, people, we have a very, very special guest, a person that not only I admire as an artist, but as a human being, a person we go way back about 10, maybe even 11 years almost now, and realizing how far he's come, how far he's really influenced the Rhode Island community. I'm also grateful to call him a friend. And we have on the platform tonight the one and only Carlos Gonzalez.
What's going on, peoples?
What is
What's
up,
going
my
on?
brother? What is up? How is, as I always start each and every episode, how have you been?
Oh man, I've been good. Went through a rough patch. But we're coming out the other end. Stronger.
Absolutely, man. I mean,
You know.
especially this past year, just seeing how, especially our dance community has been affected, whether it's the
Mm,
socials or events we attend, or even
yeah.
the studios we go and learn weekly from,
Yeah.
realizing how vulnerable our community has been, but also how resilient, and seeing dance studios like yourself
Yeah.
still up and running is an amazing thing to see,
Yeah.
compared to how many studios and dancers that are no longer around. So
Yeah.
again, a
Yeah.
big ups to you, and
Thank
definitely
you, bro.
love what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Thank you, my brother.
Absolutely. I mean, and for me, what I love doing on this platform is, for me as an artist, as you see me perform on several stages at one point, I felt for so many years people loved what we do on stage,
Mm-hmm.
but it's people like us that we get to have those meaningful conversations off stage. But a lot of times the people that admire us don't really understand us, don't really get to know us, and they just see what they see on a stage and have their pre-assumptions on what things may be.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really important having artists like yourself, because again, you're not just a dancer, you're not just a director, you're not just a
Yeah.
father, you're a human being that has your own, your loves and your flaws, and things that you have opinions on and ideas. And I think that's really important. And that's why I have a platform like this. So
Thank you,
we
bro.
can get the stories of people like yourself.
Thank you, my brother. No, I appreciate it, man, and definitely true. We don't get to see how the all the behind the back, stuff that
Yeah,
happens in order to get that final product done.
it's true. I mean, in realizing again, like when we talk backstage and we get those moments, those are great.
Yeah.
But again, for me, having this platform means that no longer that the stories of artists that I love won't be heard.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
realizing for me, it's like when I have one artist on, I want to keep talking to them and seeing how they're doing in life, and really catching up and bring you back on. And I definitely
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
even after this interview and for the future, we can definitely get into more of Mambo Bati and what they're doing
Yeah.
really in their community and abroad. But as
Yeah.
I start every episode, my favorite question to ask, especially in the beginning, is, now let's have people understand Carlos. And can you, the question I always ask is, who is Carlos Gonzalez before dance?
Before that, well, I'm sorry. The question is who I am before I started dancing. Who I was before I started dancing. Who I am.
Basically, before Mambo Pati,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
before everything, who was
Yeah.
Carlos?
Well, I grew up in Providence. I ended up coming to Rhode Island in the early '90s.
Hmm.
So I was born in that Dominican Republic. And my family and I end up in Puerto Rico for a short time,
Mm.
and then end up here in Rhode Island in the early '90s. And after my parents got divorced, my family, my mother and my siblings, we end up in the projects.
Mm.
So we end up um, and this project is called the Chat Brown Projects. And in the '90s, it was
It
it
was
was
rough.
rough. It was rough, man. I tell stories, man. To some of my experiences growing up, um, in that area, and what I tell you, that the police didn't even show up.
Mm.
It was just one of those situations. And but it made me buckle up very young, though. And my mom was, on top of my brother and I, like, you're gonna have to make choices really, like, now,
Mm.
pretty much. She put that on us really young. you know it was almost like, she had us on a curfew, and she was just like, this is your curfew, and if you're not here, it's gonna be your choice. And so I started doing that, and through playing sports and
Mhm.
doing martial arts very young, I was able to escape, get out of that environment,
Yeah.
a lot. So that's how my childhood started. And then, after, um, you know high school, and I started b-boying for a little bit. I just did a bunch of crazy stuff. I was b-boying for a little bit, dancing for a little bit, and I, for some reason, man, I always found love in dancing.
Yeah.
I even as a child, and my sisters, they're both great dancers, and when they were dancing, they were more in the hip hop scene
Mm.
and choreographing and things like that. And I remember one story. My sister, one of my younger sisters, she was like, you know, you should come to my dance studio. She was like, you should come to my dance studio and learn ballet and jazz. Because you're good, you could be good. And I was just like, man, I'm not going to no ballet class. Like, you know, little did I know, like, and like and even then, I was like
Mhm.
thinking, like, maybe I should. And so I was one of those kids that, um I used to do a lot of quinceañeras.
Oh, I know that circuit. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it got so crazy that, so I'm like 15, 16 years old, and parents used to call my mom and be like, "Can your son be in your quinceañera?" Because it's so hard to find boys to dance at that age.
yeah.
You know, and I would be like in everybody's quinceañeras, people that didn't even know who they were.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's usually how it works after. You go to
yeah,
one, you got another one coming up,
yeah,
and
exactly. And then I was just like, man, what am I doing, man? Like, I need to, and so I did that for a little while, and I say, like, I love dancing, but like I
mhm.
always kind of pushed it away from me, like, um, and went through a community, started community college after high school,
Mhm.
and then got into finance, bro. I was in
Wow.
banking for a while, yeah, and sales before dancing,
Wow. And it's amazing you say that because
yeah,
realizing how finance and running a studio correlates so well. I mean,
yeah,
having that backhand knowledge, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It does, 100%. And so when I first started salsa dancing, I went, and it was almost one of those things that,
Mhm.
like, I missed it because I was more like in the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
I was like into the clubs, and I barely attended Latin night. And then I was just like, man, I'm missing that part of my life, listening to bachata, merengue, and
Mhm.
and salsa. And then a friend of mine at work mentioned that he was gonna go attend a salsa class, and
Mm.
I just invited myself. I was like, I'm going, dude. you know. But the crazy thing, it's funny how life works, because 2 weeks before that, bro, 2 weeks
Mhm.
before that, right? It was almost like it's crazy that things happen, because it was almost like a higher power was putting all these things in front of me, because
Mhm.
uh, a month before that, I'm sorry, I was in New Jersey celebrating my cousin's baby shower, right? And you know how we do, man. It's not really a baby
Yeah.
shower. It's a party,
Yeah.
you know. And there was people salsa dancing there, and I
Mhm.
was just like, okay, wow, okay, that looks nice, you
Yeah.
know. And then 2 weeks after, I'm in a Latin club with some friends, and I see
Mm-hmm.
this guy, man, and he has like, you know, a suit on, bullhead, clean shaved,
Yeah.
and this dude's dancing with two girls, bro.
Wow.
He's like turning them, and you could tell like they know what they're doing. They're
Yeah,
taking salsa
exactly.
lessons. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And I'm like looking at this. I'm like, all right, yeah, that looks cool. That looks cool. And then when I heard that my coworker was going to a salsa class, I was just, I'm going with you, right? And so we end up getting a group of people
Mm-hmm.
to from work to attend the salsa class, which was at platforms that Ginny Oki was running.
Yes.
So that was in 2004, summer of 2004, and at that time, it was like the only place to dance salsa in Rhode Island on a Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had like they had like its own class, before the night got started, and then the dancing. Anyway, we go in there, a group of us, and that place is packed,
Mm.
right? And then I saw something that I've never seen before, right? I saw white people, black people, young people, Asian people,
Yeah.
college kids, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on in here, but I went in. This is like, say this is what I've been looking for, so like, so it just felt like a community. It felt like an establishment,
Mm-hmm.
and we took the class, and my friends, my coworkers,
Yeah.
little by little, they were leaving. I stayed to the night at the end of the night by myself, right? And then after that, I just kept going and going and going, taking
Mm.
the salsa classes and attending it, and it was just like an experience, man, that till this day,
Yeah.
I miss it. I miss that feeling, man, and then I end up running into a guy that I knew from the area, and we used to work together, and he was like, oh, I had a, I was like taking classes, but I wasn't getting any better,
Yeah.
because it's just one of those classes that you're just walk in, and it's everybody starts from the beginning. So I did
Mm-hmm.
that for like 6 months, and then I had like a really horrible experience where like I tried dancing with one girl, and the girl ended up leaving me in the middle of the dance floor, bro.
Wait, so that actually happened to
Yeah,
you?
yeah, 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 bro. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm dancing, and I was just so shy of getting up and dance with people. So I said, I'm just gonna give it a try. So I
Yeah.
saw one girl that she kind of looked like she was doing, and I start dancing with this girl, and I'm like super nervous, and I'm like, you know, uh, like not stepping correctly, and I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, like halfway through the song, she kind of taps me on the shoulder, and she's like, "Thank you, I'm all set." And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I love the honesty.
no, 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 it's
It's
crazy.
crazy to me because when we hear this, most of the
Yeah,
time we talk about it like, oh, imagine this happening. But
yeah,
for you actually it being an experience and it not completely taking you away from something you love is
yeah.
actually admirable. Because
No,
other
man, no.
people would be like, run away forever.
Oh well, that's the crazy thing, bro. Is that when it happened, man, and she kind of walked away from me. It was
Mhm.
almost like time just stands still.
Mm.
Like everybody was just like looking at me, and I just went to my table, grabbed my jacket, and took off. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then the next day, I'm like, man, maybe this salsa thing is not. It's not for me, man.
Mhm.
Whatever. And and I was just like so contemplating on like even going there again because of the experience.
Mhm.
You know, and then the following Sunday, I'm like at home and I'm watching TV and I'm like saying to myself, should I even go again? You know, and then I said, I'll go, and I just sit there. I'll just sit there for a little bit,
Mhm.
and I did that, right? And I'm sitting there, and I watched for a little bit, and as I'm leaving, right, I recognize this kid coming towards me with his wife,
Mm.
and he's, we start talking. We know each other from we used to work together, and he says to me, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to learn salsa." And he goes like, "Oh, let's have a drink." And we walk back in. I walk back in,
Mhm.
and his name is Julian, and he was the first guy that actually to actually put counts into the steps for me,
Mm.
right? So he says to me, well, I teach salsa. If you want to take, a lesson with me, we can. My wife and I teach. And I was just like, all right, I will see. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I was like I had such a bad experience that I was just like, I don't even know if I want to do it. So
Hmm.
then he says to me, yeah, listen, uh, we're gonna have a class tonight. I was a Friday. He goes like, come by and see if you like it. And I talked to a coworker of mine. I was just like, yo, I know this other guy teach salsa. Let's go over there.
Hmm.
She's like, all right, let's do it. So we go there, and it was like maybe like 4 people in the class, you know, and he starts teaching, and he's counting, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, let's. And then we start talking,
Hmm.
um, no, little by little, I wanted to keep learning and learning, and it was just one of those things that it just grabbed me, man. It was just, uh, 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 uh you know, just wanted to keep learning, and I did that, I took classes, and I appreciate that time that I spent there.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, hearing your story thus far, and realizing just a word that I put in it is determined. I
Mm,
mean, even when kind of adversity hits, you kind of persevering and not letting it kind of eat you alive, and you taking that kind of second chance into it, and
yeah.
it definitely benefited you. So, a question I have now for you is, you've taken the classes, of
Hmm.
course, you're seeing the progress.
Yeah.
When was that moment that you felt like, hey, now I think I can take that next leap into teaching?
It wasn't until like maybe like 4.5 years later. So I did the whole performance things,
Hmm.
under his direction,
Yeah.
and then once I felt it was just time for me to kind of move on,
Hmm.
um, you know, and I actually took that class. I actually started teaching not because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Some an owner of a studio saw a MySpace video of me salsa dancing, right?
Mm.
And she says to me, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna open up a studio, and I want you come teach it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not really an instructor like that, And
Yeah.
plus, I already did that for like 4.5 years, and I was kind of like ready to kind of move on and kind of focus on in my career, which was
Yeah.
banking at that time, and actually mortgages I was doing at that time. And so she says to me, you know, "Hey, listen, uh, you know, this is how much I can pay you,
Hmm.
and we can start with a small class, and see if you like it." And I started teaching, bro. And it was just one of those things that, you know, I did one class, that class got packed.
Yeah.
Then I did a second class, that class got packed, and it wasn't a case of like, you know, if I can do it or not. It's just like, do I really want to put so much energy into it?
Hmm.
Because one thing about me and everyone that works with me, everything like that, like, man, I put 100% on everything that I do.
Yeah.
If it's not 100%, I'm not even gonna bother opening that door. you
Mm.
know so I started teaching, and then uh the classes were going really well. And then that instructor told me, I mean, the owner of the studio
Hmm.
says to me, why don't you do a little routine, so we could put it
Yeah.
in our recital, and it'll be cool. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I spoke to some of the students that I had there. I was just like, why don't we just do a little project, and we're gonna call it the Mambo Passion.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's when so I have Maury as a student there, Albert, my cousin, and a few others that end up doing really well later on, and
Hmm.
they all started with me, and we trained for like, I don't know, a couple of months or so, and
Yeah.
then we put it there, we put it out there, and the people loved it. The students loved it, and not only that, they show significant growth in their
Yeah.
dancing because of the extra training and getting on stage. And they were like, Carlos, we need to do it again. We need to do it again. We need to, hyping me up, And I was just like, man, I'm just here just to like teach a little bit. Man, I need to work, And then at that time I had some students that they were like, they were more dedicated. They were more
Yeah.
like wanting to do, and that was like Maury, I had another girl named Mambo, and
Hmm.
some others, and they were like, "Yo, Carlos, why don't we just start a dance company?" And I was just like, and they kept hyping me up. No, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll help you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I don't know. And they were like, and then I said, well, let's do this, man. I'll agree to starting up this dance company, but like, if we're not gonna go hard, man, like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want, determination
Yeah.
and discipline, and if we can't have that, like, let's not even bother. And they were like, all right. So then I decided to do it, man. And then I started with a group, and we were practicing hard. Made our debut in 2009.
Mm.
And it was something that at that time, uh, the community in Rhode Island needed. They needed to
Yeah.
see new people coming in. They needed to see a new faces. They needed to, and the community grew because of that. It doubled pretty much because of that. You know.
And
Mm,
it's to hear that and realizing all the way from 2009.
yeah.
And it's funny that we talk about that time because I think it was around that time that me and you had met. I mean, for most people who don't know, I used to dance with a group
Hmm.
called East Side Edition. Me,
Yeah.
Fernando Avila, and George Velasquez, and Connecticut Salsa Fest, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
forever Luis Lopez
Yeah. Yeah.
and Luz
100.
Otero. Like, for me, Connecticut Salsa Fest always has a place in my heart, especially because at those times they believed in the group that I was in.
Yeah.
And me and you had crossed paths that time. And, you know, I remember you told me because I originally thought it was in the Water Fire, but we had actually met in Connecticut. What do you kind of take or remember from that experience?
So Lewis, has always been that big, always gave us a chance,
Hmm.
even before I even started my dance company, even when I was with the previous dance company. And he knew that I started a dance company. He was like, yo, you guys wanna perform? And I was just like, yeah, 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 So that Saturday, I remember we had tech, and you guys went right after us. So I was able to see you
Mm.
guys doing tech. And I was just like, man, this guy's over here having fun, man. Like, I wanna get up on stage with them and have fun with them. So I remember it was me, Kiki, and Maury. We
Hmm.
went up to you, and I was just like, man, good job, man. I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see you guys, go on stage. And then when the lineup showed up, I think we performed first, and
Hmm.
then you guys performed towards the end, and the crowd just loved the routine, man. You guys were just having a blast there.
I mean,
Eh,
for me too, years ago, even performing since then, Connecticut Salsa Fest for me, like you said, with Luis and Luz, those two people really believing in our dance community and allowing different artists to come, even those who are new, kind of getting your feet wet. And forever for me, those experiences I cherish because for me, when I performed or I even did a tech rehearsal, it was a performance because you
yeah,
don't know when your last show is.
yeah,
And for me, it was a big chip on our shoulder because, quote unquote, we're a new group and there's people much older than us who have been having companies a lot longer. And we felt
yeah,
like, hey, we've been dancing and we want to earn that respect from people. But
yeah,
it's people like you, people like Maury and others that I remember that genuineness. And that
yeah,
was something I appreciated because the person's name you brought up, and it really hurt, especially when she had passed, the late
yeah,
Jenny Cookie, who really is synonymous with being, I would say, a leader
yeah,
in that our dance community, especially her looking and believing in us. I believe it was during Connecticut and had us come over there. And dude, like our first trip to Providence was memorable. I mean,
yeah,
heading over there, literally like rushing, putting on our costumes, running to the water fire, trying to figure out where to perform. And when we saw like, oh, there isn't really a stage. The stage is the floor,
yeah,
and it's a
yeah,
360 view, and everybody can see you. And that
yeah,
was it was like, wow. And for us, just seeing the appreciation that hey, three boys or three young men from New York coming to show love in Providence. And realizing, kind of the full circle measure now of us and all of the experiences that we've had. I wouldn't take it for granted at all. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
man. Yeah.
appreciated a lot, over the years, seeing you now from going from dancing with other companies and training to actually having your own team with Mambo Pati,
Yeah.
and then seeing your work over the years and us always catching up. And that's for me what I appreciate about our community, because when we have those times to connect over dance, but just build those friendships, that's what it's really made for.
Yeah.
And here as we speak, it says Facebook user, but I believe this is Jesse Yip saying greetings from New Jersey and Step Up Dance Studio.
Man.
Yes, I believe he says here, hopefully see you in November, keeping our fingers crossed for the next Providence Salsa Fest. And as well here, we have someone, I'm going to figure out who this is, saying, we met during my Charisma days. Definitely Jesse. Charisma days, and reconnected many years later. Looking forward to the Providence Fest.
Oh man.
You know,
Yeah.
kind of the memories now. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's, you know, so my question now for you, Carlos, is, of course, building the company over the years, people come in and out of the companies, you're doing different projects. There's always a new dancer coming around. I would say too, as well, a really amazing woman is Kiara Feebles. Um, I love her dancing, and you guys together just make magic. But for
Thank you.
me, meeting her so many years ago, almost 10 plus years ago, from the water fire, and her coming really full circle, and the teaching, the way she just dances and that energy, I think that also helps with Mambo Bati. But my question for you, Carlos, is, if over the years of, having Mambo Bati, going to congresses and festivals, traveling, having students coming in and out of your facility, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've had with having a company and having all this experience?
Well, so right now we are entering our, wow, 2009, 12, almost 12 years, right? Of
Wow.
this company. And the crazy thing is that as a director and as a
Hmm.
dancer and still performing things like that, one thing that I'm noticing now
Yeah.
later on in this trajectory is that at the end of the day, man, all you have is memories, man, with people.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think what's his name? Jeff said that in your podcast too, which kind of
Yeah.
resurrected with me too. You know, I've seen people literally grow in my studio,
Mm.
in my company, grow. Like you see them. I had some dancers be with me for 8 years, 6 years, 7 years,
Yeah.
9 years. You know, uh, and then you have some that are like 2 or 3. And then
Hmm.
you see them later on in life having kids, getting married,
Yeah.
and you're just like, man, I remember when you would dance with me, and all this other stuff. A number of students that I had have gotten engaged and married.
Mm.
Huge number of them. I think we're like, I keep a count. It's like almost 11 or 12 of them are now
Wow.
that met in the studio,
Yeah.
and you know and end up getting married in life. So it's something that at the end of the day, whether it is short term or long term, all you
Yeah.
have is memories. There's two things that uh, I take away from me, man, because for me, as the human being that I am, and I have
Yeah.
my own flaws and my own things that I need to work. I
Yeah.
work on just like everybody else. Um, you know, I say that there's two things that I'm trying to make people experience that I experienced when I
Mhm.
first started dancing. Right. Number one, right, not to have the same experience like that person made me feel when she left me on the dance floor.
Mm.
You know. Number two, the most important part is that I want people to feel when they walk into my space or one of my events,
Yeah.
to look at it just like how I look when I first walked into platforms. Like, what is
Yeah.
this? And I want to be part of this. You know, you know. and it's a magical feeling, man, because like that feeling only
Yeah.
happens at that moment, and you're never gonna get it back. You're
Mm.
always gonna be searching for that feeling, you know, but you're not gonna get it back ever, you know, and that's why, you know, and sometimes I kind of lose touch, and I think through the pandemic, through uh having time to kind of now pause
Mm-hmm.
and say to myself, you know, I said to myself, I've been doing this for 10 years. How do I want my next 10 years to look like or be like?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of connection I want to have with my students, with my community. And you know, and I'm not perfect. There's been times where like I kind of lost uh those connections, you know, and realized that at the end of the day, man, that you know, it's you have to love this. You have to love this, and you have to love what you do. And the more you do, then the more you're able to transfer that into your students,
Mm-hmm.
into your dancers, you know. And you know, sometimes you can't. We can. Me personally, there's been situations where I lost that, you know,
Yeah.
that feeling. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
understanding here your honesty and transparency, but also, like you said, one of your biggest takeaways is the memories and realizing, like you said, what we what we currently still are going through, or especially initially in the beginning, it showed how vulnerable our community
Oh,
is
what
and
else?
was.
Yeah.
For me, uh, realizing how long I've been without dance, I constantly go through memories and videos from past events just to kind of get that feeling again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never easy, but also seeing how studios like yourself have been able to overcome is amazing. And as we talk about memories, this next video I'm going to show is a special memory, especially from Mambo Pati, when you guys were on the Aventura dance cruise. So, everyone, check this out. An amazing performance by Mambo Pati.
I wanna know if you're coming along. 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 I gotta know my baby, baby, baby. I gotta know, baby, baby, baby. I gotta know, I gotta know. I wanna know if you're coming along. 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 You want it, I got it. Your body, I want it. That body, somebody, yeah, yeah, yeah. You want it, I got it. Your body, I want it. That body, somebody, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mamita, gózate este rico bugalú. 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 Mamita, gózate ese rico bugalú. You want it, I got it.
Yeah, put your hands together for Mambo Party. Yeah.
Man, that was a hell of a performance, and also big shout out to DJ Locura Roberto Vega out there giving that up. Honestly, man, what I really appreciated too, especially that performance, was bringing that, that boogaloo, that cha-cha back because, I mean, I love my salsa, I love my bachata performances, but it's always refreshing
Yeah.
to bring it back there and have artists that can really give you that energy. So I definitely love that performance. My question to you on that is, how was that? Like, when people say you're performing an Aventura dance cruise, people don't understand you're dancing on a boat
Yeah.
and probably moves. How are those like tech rehearsals and performing on stages like that like?
Oh man, you truly don't feel it. What happens is that when this performance, they no longer traveling. They like stand still in the middle of the
Mm,
ocean, so you don't feel it, as much. There's been situations where I've been there before where you do feel a little bit of rockiness, but not at all. So it was like very very steady as far as that. That performance, man, that brought me back a little bit, man,
mm,
because that was a fun weekend. And I haven't told this story to a lot of people, but when we did that performance, the person performing before after us was Eddie Torres.
mm.
So he was like on the side watching the whole time, and he was like, and I remember like as I'm performing, I'm trying to connect with the audience. Like, so I saw Eddie Torres on my left, and he's like bouncing, like dancing
Yeah.
along. So that was an awesome experience. And then when I ran into him the next day, him and his group, he was just like, man, he says, I see you, but I seen you around, but I don't know your name. What's your name?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm Carlos. He goes, yeah, I seen him. He was like, I just want to say thank you for last night. That was such a great performance. Thank you for
Mm.
showing that boogaloo. So to get that praise from Eddie Torres, man, that was really cool.
Yeah, see, just like memories
Yeah,
like that, reminiscing, it
yeah,
brings you back. And
yeah,
as we talked as well, now currently, understanding with COVID and especially how it affected our dance community. Before I get to our next video, kind of give me an understanding of what that was like of having events one period, and then in another period, not really knowing when things were going to get back to normal.
yeah, yeah. So, so I think I have to start in 2019. 2019, right? Uh, was one of my busiest years yet. We had a huge dance company, and I was doing a lot of events. Sometimes three events on a week. You know,
Mm,
and also too, I did what is called the Summer Salsa Blast,
yeah.
which is almost like Waterfire, right? It's an outdoor event that I put together, and we were averaging 1,000 to 1,200 people
Wow.
showing up,
Oh my
and
god.
it was lights, dance floor, the whole 9 yards, almost like the same setup as Waterfire.
Yeah.
And I actually did that. I actually did that event to kind of tribute Waterfire, and
Okay.
yeah, yeah, and it was like a great event. The it was this crazy that I did just one event the year before, right? That the city loved it so much that they were like, "How can we do this once a month?" And
Mm,
I was just like, I can't do this once a month. It was like, I'll do it for 3 months. So we did one July, August, September, that
yeah.
in that order, right? And it was, and I would bring people from New York and Boston and such. On top of that, I also did the Providence Salsa Festival.
Yes.
That was the first time we ever done that, and that was like huge success. On top of that, I was doing my Thursday nights, my
Mm,
monthly socials. I was also doing a Latin night that I host on Friday nights. That is like something completely different
yeah.
from like a social. So I was like, and then running 9 teams.
Man. I mean, you're an octopus. I mean, you got your hands everywhere.
Yo, bro, I was like strict in that. Summer came and I was just like, I didn't go to the beach. I didn't do it. I didn't have
Yeah.
time to spend with family, and I was exhausted, bro. So
Yeah.
and um so then we kind of finished off the year 2019. 2020 seems like it was going to be even bigger. you
Yeah.
know So I end up having even more performers when I have my audition.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't know this, but before COVID, right before COVID hit, we had two things happen. We broke on my own personal record for most performers in my team, which was 70. We had 70 performers,
Wow.
and we were breaking our beginners program every month. So so right before the pandemic happened, we had our beginners program. Just our beginners program had 80 students.
Man.
80. I don't even know. So it was just like, constant,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, exhausted. A lot of people saw how exhausted I was. I was definitely exhausted.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, bro. And just changed everything.
Yeah.
And I went through a little panic attack. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, man, because as I'm giving you those numbers, of those years, it's been 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say it's been 10 years of dedication, sacrifice,
Yeah.
seeing people in and out, so
Mhm.
so to get to that point and then just like this gone,
Yeah.
I was just like, man, so but luckily, my girlfriend, she's an amazing woman. My family,
Mhm.
they were kind of behind me, and then my girlfriend was just like, I went through a deep depression. I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, like, I was just like, man, I'm about to lose everything,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know this, but I almost lost the studio, almost.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I was just like, man, if this is it, if this is how it's gonna be, then I have to accept it.
Yeah.
And then I was in my head, I'm playing. If I lose the studio,
Yeah.
do I keep this going? And bro, and I was just part of me was just like, I'm giving this up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, like, I'm not gonna go look for another location. I am, so part of me was just like, for a while, sometimes I would wake up and be like, through the 10 years, I'm like, man, I love what I do. And then
Mhm.
some mornings I'm like, what the hell am I doing with myself?
Yeah.
So then for me, the idea of losing the studio kind of felt like, okay, maybe this is the time to just kind of hang it up, you
Yeah.
know. But then, luckily things will, develop and kind of worked out. And the reason was because honestly, bro, it was straight up mind power,
Yeah.
straight up, because I caught myself for like the beginning of the pandemic, the very beginning. I would wake up, be on my couch, be up watching every single show on Netflix, you know, um, and then next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was doing that every day. My girlfriend was just like, we need to figure something out.
Yeah.
So you know what I started doing, bro? I started going to the studio by myself, and I started like, just being there, being present. And I said like, this is not how I'm gonna go out. This
Yeah.
is how, and things just like, so I started training with like a small part of people, since I
Mhm.
still had access to my studio, and it was just like a small group of people, like 3 or 4 of us, and we just practiced.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, you know, um, you know, I don't know when this pandemic is gonna end, but when this pandemic ends, I am gonna be a better dancer, a better instructor, a better person in every way
Mm.
after this. And that's why I kept doing it, man, through the pandemic, through the whole thing.
Man, and it's really great to see that because, again, realizing how much dance has affected our lives, whether you're a
Yeah.
director, whether you're a
Mm,
social dancer, performer, dance is a part of our lives. I mean, we have
exactly.
things we do outside of that, but
Yeah.
realizing like you need that inspiration, that motivation to get back
Yeah.
in it. And now the video will show us a clear cut example of what determination and effort gets. So everybody, check this out.
Juan el Bobo nació con dientes. ¡Qué barbaridad! Oh, mi compadre, aguante la bronca, comadre. Oh, mi compadre, aguante la bronca, comadre. Aguante esa bronca, comadre. Aguante la compadre. Oh, mi compadre, aguante la bronca, comadre. Juan el Bobo nació con dientes. Oh, mi compadre, aguante la bronca, comadre. Dos cosas de Sacramento, votar con la comadre.
Man, God, you just giving me gems. I mean, even if it's just a simple kind of teaser or performance, man, you really do give a show.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, honestly, it gives me motivation, especially now, just realizing that slowly our world, especially dance world, but our real life is coming back to some type of normalcy. Of course, you want people to still be safe, especially in the safe space that we have called dance studios, and realizing, organizers like yourself that are really focused again on keeping safety a priority, because we realize that, by making those efforts, our students understand. The people that attend our events understand. The community understands. And at least one of my last questions to you, before we get to the randoms and show one of our last videos, is, with the studios and everything coming back, what is it that you can let your community know about really the relaunch, and what kind of the outlook is for the future?
So we just opened up this week on Monday, last week, and it was a great start, and I was a little hesitant because, we're still in the pandemic, and even though things are opening up, there's still a little hesitation, as far as like, should I take classes and things like that. And the community really showed up, the community really, were present, and basically everything that I do, we're going to follow guidelines. People, I kid you not, I get every other day or every day, I get people like, when are your socials coming back? And I'll be like, I don't know yet. We're still waiting, for our, for the green light. And they'll be like, oh, but I went to such and such and they're doing parties. And I went to such and such and they're doing parties. I'm like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. But like, that's not how we do it. That's not how I do it. So, like before we even opened up, we asked the Department of Regulations to come take a look at our location to give us exact number of people we can have, what we can't do.
Yes.
And so it wasn't anything like I just was like, I'm just gonna do it. It was something, can we do it? And is it gonna work? And are we ready? And then once the Department of Regulations gave us that green light, we said, all right, yeah, let's do it. And then now Rhode Island is getting rid of their mask mandates as far as if you're already vaccinated on Tuesday. And so we'll play around with that. It's still, it's a weird thing because you don't know if you should be asking for people to, if they're vaccinated or not, so that's something that we're going to play with. And then once they say to us that, okay, you can have socials. Then we'll go with that. And I'm, and I know the community is ready, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that it's going to be amazing to see. Old students coming back, new students coming back, people from the community coming back, and we're going to put on a great event once that the Department of Regulation says it's cool to do it.
Thank you. I mean, Carlos, and I love speaking to you because, again, not just as a performer, but also as a director, and you realizing the responsibility you have, not just only to your students, but the overall community. And I really love that. And now we'll get to our last visual before we get to the segment, the random. So after this video here, we'll be getting to our last segment called the randoms. Everyone, enjoy.
Hello, mi gente. My name is Carlos Gonzalez, and I'm the director here at Mambo Dance Company. Mambo is located at 560 Mineral Spring Avenue, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. What does dancing mean to me? Dancing has been extremely important for me to give back to my community a sense of freedom, expression, connection. For the last 11 years or so, we've been putting a lot of advanced dance programs together for our community. The last year has been extremely tough here at Mambo Dance Company. We went through a couple of scares and a lot of struggles. We are extremely lucky to still be here at this location, and we are excited to be back on Monday, May 10th, when we will resume our in-person classes.
Man, as we were talking, of course, about May 10th, which is this past Monday, that the Mambo Dance Company has opened back up. And for me, again, before we get to the randoms, I just want to say, Carlos, I appreciate that you, again, as a director, are looking out for your communities. Because like you said, and as you've heard from your community about others doing events, but realizing how much safety and the focus on keeping everyone protected is really a common and a main focus of yours. I really, really do appreciate that.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
You know, and now it helps us transition to our closing segment, a segment that I love called the randoms. And as I've told Carlos as well privately, and also Carlos does not know the questions that I am going to answer, because also I've done some changes to our question segment that should be definitely interesting. So some of them are the same, some of them are different, but a lot of them are really made for you to think. So, Carlos, I need to know is when you are ready.
Let's do it.
All right. The first one is a common one that I've had, and it goes like this. If you can have one meal, what would it be?
Oh, man. It will be moro.
Moro
de pollo.
All right.
Moro y pollo. Yeah.
I love it. Next question is, if you can take a road trip to one place, you got one road trip ticket and you can go anywhere, where would it be?
Italy.
All right. Any specific place in Italy?
Milan.
Okay. I like that. Next question. If you had your own store, what would it be called?
Mambo's.
Hey, I like that. Let's see if anybody else has that, but I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is, if you could choose a different name, what would it be?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but for a long time, I always went by the name Joel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Long story.
Well, so before when did Carlos come into the picture? How about that?
So I gotta give you. So a lot of people don't know this, but my brother and I are both named Carlos.
What? Oh man, so that's definitely confusing.
It was very confusing for people. So everybody, my family, don't call me Carlos; they call me Joel. Joel. That's my, So when I went to school, someone was like, "Hey, is Carlos Gonzalez here?" And I'm like, I was just like, "No, my name is Joel." And the teacher was like, "No, that's your nickname. Your real name is Carlos." And I was like, "No, that's my brother's name." So yeah.
Oh
Crazy.
my God.
Now, that's another story.
Oh man, we'll definitely have you come back on and tell that one. All right. Next question is, what is the biggest turnoff for you on the dance floor? And I'm talking about you at right now, Providence, the Providence event that you throw. You're at a Saturday night, you got some time away, you can dance with someone. A follow asks you to dance. What is something that really turns you off?
My biggest turnoff, whether I'm experiencing it or if I'm watching it, is when I see people tell other people what to do while they're social dancing.
Oh my God.
That's not the place. That's not the place to give instructions. And then
Oh.
the worst part is like that's not the person you should be giving instructions to.
Yeah.
You know,
You're definitely
I see
right
that all
about
the
that.
time, man. And it's, I don't know if something like just comes with experience, you know.
Mhm.
But oh my god, yeah, I see it.
My
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
All right. Next question is, what is your special talent?
Oh man. Well, I don't. So I say my special talent. I think is
Mhm.
just that since I was very young, I've been being
Mhm.
able to see something and copy it
Okay.
without much explanation. So I'm very what's the word? I'm very mobile.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I never really needed a lot of instructions. I can just watch something and just do it.
Okay.
Whether it was dancing, whether it was
Yeah.
martial arts, you know, I would like just watch something and then just like, all right, I got it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
hmm
Now, next question is, what is Carlos's favorite hobby?
Right now, my favorite hobby that I've been doing now for a couple of years is cooking.
Mm, okay.
Cooking. I love cooking. Yeah.
I'm assuming you're cooking more than some moro and pollo.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I play around with different dishes, and and do a mix of different things, and I
I
love it.
mean, hey, if you want to take it back, I'm about to say when things are up and normal and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are better, I would say maybe have a little, buffet area at the social,
yeah, oh,
serve a
yeah,
little,
yeah.
so
Oh yeah, it's coming.
for
It's coming.
sure,
Yeah.
man. So next question is, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had a superpower, what would it be? I would love to fly.
Mm.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. A
yeah,
lot of people have said that. So I love that answer. And
yeah.
this one here is going to be a little more introspective. And it goes like this: biggest lesson that you've learned being a teacher?
Oh man, the biggest lesson. I learn a lesson every year.
Yeah.
Every year I learn a lesson, whether it's dealing with, when you have a dance studio or a dance company as big as mine, you
Hmm.
can't compare it to someone or another company that's a lot smaller. So because you have a lot of personalities, right? That
Hmm.
you have to deal with, and then this difference between a teacher,
Hmm.
a director, and a studio owner.
Mm.
There's a big difference, bro. I don't know three. There's a big difference. There's a more responsibilities, right? And the biggest thing I've learned is that if I'm not having fun, me doing it,
Yeah.
now I don't want to do it. I don't want to cheat someone if I'm not having fun. I don't want to do a choreography if I'm not having fun with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to attend the social if I'm not having fun with it. I feel like sometimes I have forced myself to either work with individuals, attend socials, do choreographies that I really didn't want to do. You know,
Mm.
and now it's I think students, people appreciate you more when they get that honest person behind you.
Mm.
And some right now I need to love what I'm doing,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna do it.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
answer. And
hmm
now it brings us to my last question. And this one is different. We're going to play word association. You got three topics or three words that I need the first thing that comes out of your brain when I tell you this words, I want the first thing that comes out. And it goes like this. Number one is closer, last performance. You're at your favorite event. You have a closer. Who is it?
Yeah, mole.
Awesome. All right. Next one is Rhode Island.
Sunshine.
And
Oh,
the last
beaches.
beaches. Okay, I definitely got to
Yeah.
hit up a beach next time I'm in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And last but not least, when you hear this word, what do you feel? Practice.
Oh man, practice, discipline.
Hey, I love how you put that attitude in it. I appreciate it. I love it. And Carlos, I thank you again for for doing this segment. I definitely think it helped me and also others who are watching get to know you a little better. And now it brings us to our closing segment. And for me, honestly, from start to finish, I've appreciated everything you said, helping me and also others understand who you are before dance, during dance, and now transitioning into a new normal.
Yeah.
And, it's been an honor and a pleasure having you on. But before we go, I would love to know if you had any last few words for myself and the audience, but also contact info on how people can reach you and see what Mambo Bati is up to for the future.
Okay. So right now we're just getting started in our reopening, and we made amazing changes not only to how the studio looks, but also to our curriculum, and which I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna love. Um, we are located at 560 Mineral Spring Avenue in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. If you're around, please visit us, and you can reach us at www.mambopati.com. And I want to say for the future is that, with everything, coming to as a still,
Yeah.
because of this pandemic, I had a lot of time to just really work on the things that I want to do for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, so when you see us, whether it's events, where's our either my professional team, whether it's me with my partner, where's my student team, where there is I'm gonna be ready to now really bring my best work yet.
I definitely
Yeah.
appreciate it. But at least before we go, I do have to ask this question. You don't have to answer or not. Do we have any status on the Providence Salsa Fest?
Yes. So yes, we do. Okay. So right now we have the date saved.
Mm.
Right. So now is working the numbers. So how can we do it where like I'm not taking such a big risk financially?
Mm-hmm.
Where we are safety wise, that feel comfortable, showing up to this event, and that's just some of the factors that we're in. So, right now I'm in the middle of deciding right now, number one, if we do it, are we gonna do it for 2 days, 1 day?
Mm-hmm.
How small, how big do we want to do it? So I am 100% trying to do it. For November. I don't want to give the date yet.
No, of course not. Of
Yeah.
course not.
Yeah, but and I'm very optimistic that it's gonna happen.
Man, I love hearing
Yeah.
those type of news. And,
Yeah.
at least before we go to, I mean, also me, you have talked, but I've talked to a lot of the leaders in the art dance community and myself announcing in a couple years, I'll be making my way to moving
Yes, man.
officially to Rhode Island. So
Yes.
I'll definitely be bringing this platform and many
Yes.
more
Can't
visuals
wait.
to Rhode Island. I definitely appreciate you, Carlos,
Thank you.
because again, having this platform allows me to understand the artists that I know even more and have their stories and journeys be appreciated.
Thank you, my brother.
I appreciate everyone who's tuned in, everyone that will tune in. And again, the live discussions with Diamond podcast fully supports and is here for Mambo Bati, the Providence Salsa Fest, and everything that you're doing because we see that you care about your community. So
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
on behalf of the platform, on behalf of the community in whole, thank you for your contributions. I definitely hope that we can see each other very soon in the future.
You got it, my brother.
And thank you all for tuning in, who will tune in the future. This has been another episode of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. This is episode 121 with my man, Carlos Gonzalez of Mambo Pati. Everyone have a great night and stay safe.